Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
I'm Phil Chambers from WhatCulture.
We are just moments away from our WrestleMania Night 2 live stream. Before that though, just time to squeeze in some news. Philip, what have you got for us?
Well, you might be wondering about Edge's big return that is coming tonight, obviously, because we get the best night of WrestleMania on our live stream later. We'll tell you about that in a bit. But yeah, Edge had his WWE 24 documentary that went out on the network, which is a really good watch and I highly recommend. But he dropped a few little tidbits in there that were quite interesting. The main one being that after he returned at SummerSlam when he speared Elias, another company, we'll say, that's all he said about it, reached out to him to ask if he would wrestle for him. The exact quote that he gave in the video was, SummerSlam happened and another company within the industry contacted me and said they were interested and wanted to know if I could wrestle. So obviously not dropping exact names about who it would be, but I wonder what other company out there might be looking for Edge, of all people, to come back in a big way.
I was told that Defiant had just stopped it. Apparently not. No, of course not. All Elite Wrestling linked with Edge. And, you know, you can speculate, and I'm sure people will, whether or not it was a good idea for him to go with WWE, whether or not it'd be more interesting if he'd gone to AEW. But I think personally, selfishly, at the end of the day, because of his affiliation with WWE and the way, like we've said, he's eased into this storyline brilliantly with Randy Orton, it was the right decision to go with WWE.
And that return at the Royal Rumble, like, you couldn't have asked for anything better than that. He did go on in the documentary to say that, like, as soon as he got that offer, because he was kind of thinking about maybe doing something, and then the Elias thing happened, and he wasn't sure what he was going to do with his future. But as soon as that offer came out and he's feeling good, he just said he had to go back to Vince with it, because he knew that Vince gave him his chance. He'd been there for him all this time. He'd sort of given him the ball, let him run with it. He'd given him every opportunity in his career, so he felt that loyalty that he had to go back to Vince. Then as soon as he went, like, he flew to see Vince over a weekend, and then as soon as Vince got there, he was like, well, we have to do this here. And then that was it. And it's like, then they were off to the races from there. But the documentary, the WWE 24 thing, is really, really good watch. Definitely recommend it. There's a few other great bits, like WWE bought him a ring, and then he just bought like a warehouse space, and they shipped him up one of their Performance Center rings to him in Canada, where he could train on his own without having people see him, because he really wanted to keep that return a surprise. And then he trained there with Beth Phoenix, and then he brought Dash Wilder up, because apparently he's known Dash Wilder since way back, and he was actually one of the people who gave Dash Wilder like his first chance and like put him in onto WWE. There's a bunch of other things as well, like when he returned at SummerSlam, that was all completely unplanned. He just went, because Beth was obviously doing the thing with NXT at the time, so he just went to say hi to a bunch of people, and then he was there. It was in Toronto, so he was going to do a promo in the ring, of course, because you've got Edge there, why wouldn't you? And then when he got out there with Elias, he just felt the crowd and felt that energy, and he knew that like anything he said wouldn't be like as impactful as just running at him and spearing him. So it seems like at the time Elias had no clue that spear was coming, but sold it like a champ. So yeah, definitely recommend the WWE 24. It's a good watch.
Yeah, we might be doing a little video on that in the next few days about 10 things we've learned from it, because it sounds absolutely fascinating. Loads of great documentaries from WWE at the moment. You've got that. I watched the Drew McIntyre Chronicle after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I watched that too. It's really good.
That Taker one that we've got coming looks so good.
The Tiger King one.
Indeed. Tiger King spin-off. Right, let's talk a little bit about last night's WrestleMania. It had its ups and downs. Mainly the ups came in the second half of the show, I think it's fair to say. I nearly had a breakdown when Shayna Baszler got pinned.
Oh, I can imagine.
Becky Lynch. There isn't time, Phil. There isn't time. But one of the things that really saved the show until we got to the Boneyard match, which was, well, let's just say it. Was that the best Boneyard match ever? Yes, it was, of course. Was Kevin Owens and his insane leap off the WrestleMania sign. More developments coming along from that, though, with Kevin Owens tweeting, saying he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stadium, the Raymond James Stadium as it's better known, and he tweeted today when someone said, oh, it was great, but I really wish it was in the huge stadium in Tampa. You could have jumped off the pirate ship. Yeah, he was going to try and jump off the sodding pirate ship in the stadium. We all sort of speculated on what they were going to do when we first found out about that. Of course, the links to Kyrie Sane were fairly obvious, or what was it, Paul Burchill, I was going to say. But yes, Kevin Owens tweeted that he went to a show there in January, and as soon as he saw it, he told himself no matter what he was doing at Mania, he'd find a way to jump off that thing. He even took pics to figure out the best way to go about it. Now, that would have been amazing, but just looking at it, terrifying as well. Last night was scary when he jumped off that sign. Jumping off a sodding pirate ship is quite another thing.
Yeah, it's a big pirate ship as well, isn't it? And it's in like an awkward place because it's at like the top of a stand and like completely out the way, and like I just imagine the walk of him trying to get to the pirate ship from the ring in the first place, because those stadiums aren't small, and then to do the jump, absolutely mental. But I mean, what a moment that would have been.
Insane. I saw that clip of Samoa Joe in TNA when he just leaps down the stairs onto Sting and winced at that. So I dread to think what this would have done to Kevin Owens. Probably for the best. One of the few times I can say this, that it was in the Performance Centre rather than the actual stadium. Yeah,
very limited in the Performance Centre by a roof, which helps with these things. Anyway, moving on, talking about that Boneyard match as well, you might be wondering why Undertaker would choose AJ Styles as his opponent. Well, as it turns out, Mark Raimondi, as the ESPN Combat Sports reporter, he tweeted out saying that Kurt Angle told me that The Undertaker was talking to him recently, disappointed in his Goldberg match and wanting to redeem himself. Obviously, he said in the Stone Cold podcast thing a while back that he was, let's just say, down on his performance in that match and definitely wasn't proud of it. I think we all knew that he wanted to redeem himself from that. But yeah, Mark Raimondi goes on to say that Angle, the first thing I said to him was about wrestling AJ Styles. It'll be the best match you've had in years. So it seems like the recommendation from AJ Styles, and probably a glowing recommendation looking at all the stuff Kurt Angle did with him in Impact Wrestling, came from Kurt Angle. And then look what happened. It's the best match he's had in years. Kurt was right. AJ Styles pulled it out of the bag, and they just did wonderful, wonderful things with that Boneyard match.
Yeah, I think the moment we heard it was going to be AJ Styles working with Taker, everyone's opinion of one more match for Taker at WrestleMania improved slightly, because someone like AJ Styles can really help him along. And not to boil it down to the most basic of things, but AJ Styles even, he's so small, and it makes things easier for The Undertaker to do. But yeah, I don't think anyone could have predicted the match that they were going to have at that point. But yeah, Kurt Angle called it correctly. And it's so interesting, like, what a difference a day makes. We were going into this going, what the bloody hell is this going to be? And now Mick Foley's campaigning to be in a Boneyard match next year. People saying this added 5-10 years to The Undertaker's career. I think every match of his is probably best done maybe pre-recorded, but who knows? I just don't know what to think after last night. I was blown away by that main event.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what The Undertaker goes on to do, and that's the ending legacy of his career, honestly, I am all for that. Do it at every WrestleMania. Like, I don't care. It's absolutely wonderful.
Indeed. Right, let's move on and talk a little about All Elite Wrestling, because Jim Ross, who's a legend of this business and has hinted about them signing many names since starting, and mostly been correct, to be perfectly honest. He has hinted that AEW are close to, or even have signed another ex-football player. Now, this isn't just any old football player. This is, hang on, I'm just going to get my notes up here, Parker Boudreaux. Now, if, like me, Phil, and most people, you have no bloody idea who that is, well, he plays for the University of Central Florida football, according to his Twitter page, but he's better known as the second coming of Brock Lesnar. And now I haven't seen him work, I haven't seen him even play football, but I've looked at his Twitter photos and his Instagram, and yep, he's a big old beefy bastard.
Anyone pegged as the second coming of Brock Lesnar? I mean, that's high praise right there, and that's a lot to live up to. It's like...
Yeah, not a great deal of details other than that, to be honest. He played American football, or he plays American football, but he does have a love of wrestling, and yeah, Jim Ross seems to be hinting that he could be the next big name signing for AEW. They're going for a lot of big hosses recently, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Jim Ross pulled it out of the park, knocked it out of the park, when he did sign Brock Lesnar in the first place, and so, yeah, I mean, he knows talent when he sees it.
Get the big lads in.
Yeah. Speaking of AEW, we reported yesterday that they had been doing a batch amount of filming to get them through a few months. Well, apparently they are completely done with filming indefinitely now after their recent tapings. They were doing them all at QT Marshall's gym, actually, in Norcross, Georgia. And yeah, that's it. They're done. They've filmed through to around mid-May, and then they're still unsure about what's going to happen with Double or Nothing, which is scheduled for May 23rd. They were talking about maybe doing an empty arena match for it, but obviously with the situation that's going on, they don't even know if they'll be able to book an arena, let alone get the wrestlers to the arena. But apparently with these set of tapings, they were really careful to keep certain people out of it. Anyone that's from the sort of California or New York area, because they're like hot spots at the minute, they weren't allowed to be there, just on the off chance that they brought something with them. And they've kept the roster consistent throughout the whole set of tapings, so they can keep the stories running. It's going to be the same faces up and through till mid-May. And after that, who knows what they're going to do? I guess it's one of those ongoing situations where you're just going to have to reassess it every couple of months and see where you're at. But at least, I mean, that's quite a chunk of tapings that they've got.
Yeah, again, mixed opinions with this sort of thing. It's great to know that we are going to have wrestling going on until mid-May, because what on earth would you and I talk about? But it's always, and I know people moan about this in the comments, it just feels awkward watching wrestling with the state of things as they are. Having said all that, if they've taken all the precautions and they've stuck to the rules as best they can, great news. I wouldn't have Double or Nothing unless you can have it back in an arena with fans in there. I think, Mania's good, and undoubtedly AEW are going to be made the best of the empty arena TV shows. It's just a whole different ball game. And yeah, I think lead up to a big event and then just say, look, the moment everything gets cleared, we'll have Double or Nothing. And that'll be a wonderful sort of season premiere, for example.
Yeah, totally. I think they definitely did the right thing for if they are going to be doing a bunch of tapings like this, then choosing a tournament structure to put on through that is obviously the absolute correct decision, because that's such an easy set of tapings to write, because you've just got your tournament format and then you stick to that, and that's where you go with your stories. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see how it all unfolds and see what happens in May.
Indeed. One thing we can tell you, though, relating to AEW, which may or may not be worked into a storyline, is the fact that Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford have got engaged over this weekend. Oh, congratulations to them. Both of them sharing this information on their Instagram, Twitter, all their social media. Penelope Ford Instagramming saying, "We're engaged. I was so confused why he was on his knee when we were taking a picture for his parents to frame." Yes, Kip Sabian said, all characters and gimmicks aside, it was their anniversary this weekend. He planned this for quite some time. He told her he was taking a family photo for her parents. In reality, he took a video on timer. Go and look at it. It's lovely. Everyone be happy. Isn't marriage great? Well, being engaged is great, but let's move on. Great news, Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether it gets turned into a Joey Janela thing in AEW, who knows? But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, let's hope not. Let them have. I mean, he's a brilliant git, Kip Sabian. I say that in the nicest possible way, but I love what they've been doing with him. And so it might get worked into a storyline, and if it does, I reckon him and Joey and Penelope will knock it out of the park. But regardless, congratulations to them. What a lovely note to end on. Let us know your thoughts on all of today's news stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and Phil will be discussing WrestleMania 36 after the show tonight. Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter. Andy and the guys will be looking after them tomorrow at WhatCulture WWE. And watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Phil at
Phil My Chambers.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. And make sure you join myself, Phil Chambers, and quite possibly, depending on technology, a mystery guest from my stream a little bit later on today. But for now, my thanks to Phil Chambers. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
We get a Tamina match later.
Uh-oh.